Okay, we're live, just so you know. Oh, here comes Samuel. Morning. We'll call the meeting to order, and the approval of the agenda and order of business is first. And we're removing 6.2 and 10.2. We're not ready for either of those, apparently.
We'll move the agenda as amended.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed, motion is carried. Public input, I'm not aware of any.
Yes.
Very nice.
No, there is.
Okay. Minutes of the previous meeting, April the 6th, committee of the whole, there was no omissions.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Oh, we say you were.
You say you were, and I actually on, where was it?
You make a motion?
No, 23/140, moved by Councilor Church, second by Councilor Asa Chat.
Aces.
We got
She's never sure which one of you makes it in the second.
I didn't told you earlier,
So they're approved as amended? Or, that's the motion, all those in favor? Opposed, motion is carried. We aren't ready, or no, we aren't ready for the presentation calls here, so we'll move on to 6.1, quarterly report, infrastructure and operations.
big bad man.
Yes.
Morning.
Morning, everyone.
All right. Maybe that is.
You haven't heard me yet. Okay, well, thank you for your kind attention once again. So this is the final quarter of the last financial year. We'll start with solid waste stats. So we wrap things up. It was another record-breaking year in terms of total tonnage received at Kaiser Meadows landfill. If we go to the next page, I've shown you the 5-year volumes to date, so you can see there's a steady rise in those volumes. On the right-hand side, I've also shown you the breakdown of the different types of waste, just to say, you know, these are the percentages. This is what we're dealing with. So the percentages at the bottom are just the increase or decrease from the previous year. So you can just see there's a steady increase there. So we're very mindful of that. And we have a presentation for you later.
No, I have to find out who sits in his chair.
It's way too low.
I know.
He doesn't have it, lift it back up. Floyd, that help.
It's the little, it's the small paddle in the middle. Do you want me to help? On the right, it should be on the right hand side.
And you can't be sitting in it or else it won't go out.
Over here.
There. I knew you'd be uncomfortable for the rest of the week. So we didn't fix that.
It's a little high now. Okay.
Yeah.
Just trying to put me off, aren't you? Okay, so we'll leap into the leachment treatment. So phase 2 of the design was approved by council. As you know, CBCL have commenced the work. We're anticipating that design by the end of May, and we're hoping to put that out to construction tender in June. It's unlikely we'll get construction this year, but we'll see how that goes. The leachate pump, so we do have one that's out of service. The pumps are expensive, they're $93,000 each, so
Wow.
they're quite breathtaking in price. So we have 2 on order, and so we'll be replacing those. We are managing with 1 at the moment. The C&D site, so that's prepped and ready for the new season in anticipation of the new regulations. So we're all ready to go there to track the new, the big C&D and the wood and all bits and pieces that have changed recently. Cell 3B, so we were originally told that the Dexter would be back on site on the 17th. So we've been told that that's now this coming Monday, the 24th. But they are due imminently. The completion date is still estimated to be in July. We're hoping early July. But in the interim, we've had to advise the Otter Lake waste treatment facility run by HRM or in HRM that we can't accept any of their waste just because we are really tight.
Yeah.
So because there's no contract there, we're able to refuse that. Just so, and one of the things I do want to change is that I'm always light on pictures in these things. So
We like pictures.
I know, so do I. So anyway, I've got this beautiful picture of the current landfill construction, cell construction, I should say. So you can see it's a fairly decent sized undertaking. That's actually only half a cell. So, it's a decent sized operation, and it's more complex than just digging a big hole and throwing some plastic liner in. But anyway, I think you'd appreciate just to see the progress to date. So that's as it was a couple of weeks ago. In terms of fencing, so we're looking at the viability of mobile steel fencing at the face of the landfill just to contain the litter when wind blows across it, to help mitigate the spread of it through the
That's
neighbouring.
back to the woods, taking everything out.
Exactly. And to back that up, we're also looking as to whether we put some telegraph poles up with netting, just as another measure to stop that encroachment. One of the two EVC towers, so they're the snow blower towers that sort of dissipate the liquid or the treated leachate. One of those is down, so we're pricing a new one. We have had trouble with them in the recent past, so I think we're due a new one, unfortunately. We're waiting to hear back on prices, but we'll bring that to council when we have that information. We had our half-ton truck delivered in March, and there's a new loader on order. Again, they're reasonably healthy in terms of price, $442,000, but we have been confirmed from CAT that there's $105,000 trade-in value, so we're awaiting delivery date on that. In terms of staff, so we had 2 skilled labour vacancies that have been filled, so 1 internal applicant and 1 external applicant. So currently at the landfill, we have a full complement of staff, so that hasn't happened for a while, so we're quite pleased with that. In terms of metal recycling, so we build it up so it's worth them coming in and taking out in one hit. So the amount that we've recovered, or the refund we've got, is sort of just over $98,000. So it's well worth doing for many reasons, not just financial. So that's the solid waste update. Public works. So if I just go through the stats, I won't go through these, except to say that the compost cups delivered, so they're the green bins, 613 for the annual total. So we've ordered a full shipment of 700 from the supplier. So we've got an annual sort of backup, so we're not going to run out. Active transportation on the sidewalks. So we had no issues reported by the First Nations who we engaged with. Nova Scotia Power have committed to relocate the power poles in May, and then the tender for construction closes in June. So that we will see construction on the sidewalks this summer, which is good for everybody. Still waiting for NS or the Nova Scotia Department of Public Works confirmation for approvals on the flashing beacons and the speed radar signs. We're still waiting for notification on the J-class roads, which is later than usual, but we just not heard anything. We chased them up, and they're still under review. Once we've got those, you'll be the first to hear.
A little bit to do with service review, I expect.
Likely. So. But we'll get it when we get it. Like I say, we'll be sharing that with you as soon as. Snow and ice control. So there's 6 significant snow events this past quarter. Salt and sanding done as required, and the deficiencies are currently being reviewed prior to final payment. So that's underway. Wastewater, lift station and force mains. So the initial stages of the design process are underway. And the construction of those will be this year. And again, that's movement. the Chester wastewater treatment plant. Construction tender anticipated in summer this year. So again, we're hoping for brought back to council, obviously for approval. But again, we're hoping for some construction activity later on this year, which is again sort of progress on that. Sticking with wastewater, the final anticipated design is imminent. So the construction again in this year. We have put in an application to the Sustainable Communities Fund, which I think we mentioned before. We were supposed to have heard back in January, I think it was, and this has been put back again to May. So it's not going to hold up this project, but obviously, you know, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially that we could benefit from, which is in everybody's interest. So we're keen to know as everybody else is. So just keeping you abreast of that.
Yeah, on all those kinds of decisions made delayed now.
Exactly. So there's a knock-on effect, sadly, but you know, we can't control everything. Western Shore wastewater. So the capital plan to be presented in the next quarter, early hopefully. I think we've also mentioned the previous able designs are still applicable, and we can reuse the UV system from the Chester Village wastewater treatment plant when we decommission that with the upgrade to tube there. Wilco fire protection. This week, Fred went out and spoke to Vale, and so they've had those discussions as to their requirements, options. He's in touch with the school board because obviously they're affected by this. And so once we've understood what each requirement is, we'll be able to come back pretty in short measure and advise what we're recommending or what the options are. Wastewater study, Chester Basin site selection and technology. So that RFP closes next month. And then the presentation of the pre-design, schedule of pre-design estimates should be sort of June at the latest, if not before. So that's moving on to fairly decent lick. Moving on to buildings and structures, Goldborough Bridge, geotechnical work and archaeological investigations are underway. I think in the past we'd penciled in, or we may be a little bit ambitious with construction this year. Given the current timelines, we're not anticipating that this year. It's likely to be next year, but beyond, I can't see it going beyond next year. It's just unfortunate things have slipped. And the station bridge, the alternative options are still being investigated by NSDPW. But we have a meeting with the Mitchell on the 9th of May, so perhaps he could provide us with some update on that. Wild Rose accessible washrooms, so they are anticipated to be all completed and open to the public at the end of May, and which is a long time coming, but nonetheless we're getting there. And just a reminder that the Harbourview Lane property that was purchased in January this year, so that was anticipating future needs for wastewater treatment plants and allowing us for potential use or expansion without or minimizing costs and risks. Building security. As we know, there was a security issue a few weeks ago. We've had a security specialist come in and conduct a walkthrough. And so we're waiting back quotes and recommendations from that visit. The finger wharves have all been installed now, so they're open for use by the public. There's a boat pump which we do own and operate. It has been out of order since at least last summer, it's my understanding. We've got a quote for replacement of 27,000 with a lead time of 2 or 3 months. But what we're planning on doing is to bring back to council very quickly to say, okay, look, this is the pump. Do we want to replace it? If so, that's fine. Or do we want to?
Where is that at the Chester or?
I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. So it's a pump out sewage from the boats. So essentially, there's two options: do we replace it, or do we basically remove it and stop providing that service? So we'll be bringing that back. Vehicles and equipment. So we had the delivery of the 3/4 ton truck, the 1 ton truck and the crane, specifically to be used at the wastewater treatment plant for hauling out sort of equipment. We're just getting the crane requirements or specifying that with the supplier, so that should be fairly quick. And the zero turn mower is due for delivery any day. Community wells. So the next steps to advise partners such as fire halls. We're waiting test well construction estimates. So once we've got those, we'll be moving on. Clearly it's something we need to move quickly on, but it is underway. I know that's a little bit vague, but once we've understood exactly what the test wells bring back to us and the capacities, then we'll be able to share that with the council. Asset management project. So the staff training was undertaken by Esri, the supplier, and that was to familiarise staff initially with the app or the field app, so they can use on the phone or an iPad in the field. So the next stage is to basically go out with the staff and sort of handhold them until they feel more comfortable. Nick Zinks, who's been leading that charge, is quite happy to go out with staff and just sort of be with them just for those initial stages so they get comfortable. So that's a good thing. Staff. So sadly we lost a wastewater engineer. He did resign. We didn't just lose him. So the recruitment is underway for the replacement. Two field staff made internal moves, one over to Chad's group and one to the landfill, which I mentioned earlier. So recruitment for those replacements is underway. And one staff member from the Public Works Group attended the Maritime Provinces Water and Wastewater Association workshop in PEI. So we're very conscious that the wastewater is important. We need to keep on top of training and best practices. So that's why we're keen to encourage staff to go to these. I hope not. I haven't mentioned it yet, but you never know, do you? So completed projects, so manhole repairs, manhole infiltration reduction, now in maintenance mode. The lift station panels and generators are all but done. The Henneberry Lake watercourse, there is no further obligations. We've been advised by the environment. Crowd province and accessibility audits has transitioned into new building options, which we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. And so yes, the final one is just okay. So we've started off with 94 projects and now we're down to 70. So we're chipping away. So slowly but surely. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Anybody have any? Essentially just an update. This is where we are.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we're moving back to the presentation of volunteer awards now. Good to see so many of you here, and thank you for everything you do. I'll read this. As most people would be aware, this is National Volunteer Week, April 16th, or was April 16th, 22nd. The National Volunteer Week theme for 2023 is Volunteering Weaves Us Together. This reveals the importance of volunteering to the strength and vibrancy of our communities through the interconnected actions we take to support one another. These diverse forms of sharing our time, talent, and energy strengthen the fabric of our community. Through volunteering, we experience our interconnectedness, making our lives more meaningful. Getting involved in various ways, we find friendship, develop trust, and link our relationships. Threading these connections, we come to belong as we contribute towards the same goals. Like each individual thread makes weaving stronger, every volunteer's experience, perspective, and abilities add to our collective resilience. Woven together from coast to coast, Volunteering reinforces our ability to grow, thrive, and create change within our community, province, and country. Knowing our volunteer contributions are valued and meaningful creates a greater sense of purpose and dedication. From helping build a home, cleaning up a park, or coaching a sports team, to cooking for an ill friend, checking in on a neighbor, or helping a stranger cross the street. Each action we take impacts our community's overall wellness, now and for future generations. During National Volunteer Week 2023, we celebrate our collective impact through our kindness, generosity, and commitment to volunteering. We weave our lives together. As a chair, I think now you're possibly at the floor.
So from here, what we're trying to do is we have our volunteers here with us today, and in a lot of cases, they're nominators, so the nomination of the volunteers are here as well. So what I'd like to do is just take a few moments and have them come up each individually. And what we're going to do is just read a little bit of background, just so everyone has a good idea of how each of our volunteers contribute to our local community. And then we'll ask the warden to present certificates. So there's actually 3 certificates that volunteers will be receiving. One from the municipality, and we also have the 2 others, one from your MLA and one from your MP as well. So all 3 levels of government are taking the opportunity to thank our volunteers for all the hours and the energy that they contribute to the community. So we're presenting all 3 of those at the same time this morning. Okay, so our first volunteer this morning is Carolyn J. Conrad, and Carolyn unfortunately had passed away last year, but her husband James is going to be is here with us this morning to receive that award. So if you want to come up, James, and Vicki Levy is going to come up on behalf of the Chester Municipal Heritage Society that made the nomination. So yeah, you can write it.
My story's not now.
Yes, you-
Oh, okay, I just want to make sure I got it right.
You can write it over. So we have that
Good morning, council, fellow volunteers, and everyone present. And I'd like to say a special welcome online to Gregory, Jackson, and Alex, Carolyn's sons and grandson, who can't be here today. Carolyn Jean Conrad joined the Chester Municipal Heritage Society in April of 2015 and became a board member in 2016. She served in that capacity until her passing in November of 2022. Carolyn was very active in the Heritage Society and looked after the rentals for Lordley Park, and also took on the afternoon teas that were held several times during the summers. She took great pride in this and making sure that everything was perfect for our teas, high teas, even to packing up her own good china to make sure that we had the plates, teacups, and proper stands for all our sweets. She participated in the Chester Christmas Craft Show at Lordley House and was a founding member of our knitting group. From this small group came the thought of starting a craft shop to show off local crafts, not just at Christmas, but all year round. She jumped in with both feet and became the creator, designer, and manager of Station 20 Craft Shop. Carolyn spent every weekend volunteering at the shop and was notorious for switching things around every week or two, so everyone had a chance to have their work displayed at the forefront of the shop. When COVID hit, she was our go-to person for lists, signs, and whatever was needed for the society. Through the creation of Station 20, life was brought back to our train station. Her love of the province and the municipality made her a great ambassador for tourists who dropped into the shop to visit her homemade tourist center. She created a truly unique place for vendors to sell their wares. She was so excited about the Caboose project. as her ancestors rode the line often to their place in Chester. And she was able to make a contribution to the planning and donated the crushed stone for the rail bed before her passing.
And next, we'd like to invite Wilson Fitt, please come forward. And Wilson was nominated by our health center, and I believe Lorraine Burge is here too.
All right, and the one yesterday at the gas station, first time seeing you.
Oh, yes, it's still around.
Well, I'm here. 50 years of.
Just a brush, yeah. Welcome to everyone, all the volunteers, and thank you to council for the invite and the nomination process. It's really important that we do recognize our volunteers. Wilson Fitt has been a steady, kind, and reassuring presence at OHC since the day construction began. He was the volunteer project manager for 2 years, overseeing all aspects of the build until its completion in December 2016. He ensured that the project was on time, on budget, and built to the highest standard possible. After the doors officially opened to the public, Wilson volunteered to chair the building committee, which is comprised of Wilson and 2 other volunteers. Since 2016, he has helped to troubleshoot a myriad of issues, big and small, always with calmness and a sense of humor. He is very well respected amongst all the tradespeople, architects and suppliers. He makes himself available no matter what time of day or night, and always provides a way to solve a problem without any judgment or unreasonable expectation. He gives clear directions and provides backup to ensure the issue of the day is resolved. OHC is on a solid foundation thanks to Wilson's Fitt legacy. It will be felt for years to come because citizens of all ages from this community and beyond will benefit from the programs and services provided by our health center and the Chester Playhouse. His keen eye and dedication to both these projects has ensured their endurance into the future and their place in the fabric of this municipality. He is the type of guy that would rather see this award go to someone else. But we feel very strongly that this award needs to go to him this year. We're very grateful to Wilson for his time, his professional talents, and his kindness.
So our next volunteer we'd like to call forward is Blair Hodgman, and Blair was nominated by the Starfish Reunites organization. A little background on Blair. Blair was on the original Starfish committee bringing Syrian refugees to Chester. She completed all of the legal applications from her law office in Chester and does it all pro bono. 7 years later, she continues her effects by working to bring the Lucius family's oldest daughter and her family to Chester. She has a big heart and will do anything in her power to help, including arranging transportation for English classes and medical appointments. Most hours, Blair may be found walking her miniature poodles, Aster, Daffodil, and Orchid, through the streets of Chester. I continue walking. I want brown flower. Chester is a better place because of all the newcomers who reside here, and Blair has played a leading role in getting them here. She continues to support over 25 individuals, helping them with all their legal documents and citizenship applications. Thank you very much, Blair. Next, we'd like to invite Karen McKenzie Stepner to please come forward. And Karen was nominated by Catherine Gleek. Catherine was not able to be with us this morning, unfortunately.
Ontario.
Who's in Ontario. So I just mentioned that Karen was selected as our municipal representative this year. So Karen will be receiving the Provincial Volunteer Award, which will be given out a little bit later. Background on Karen. Karen has always been a person who is very active in her professional and personal life to help those in need of assistance. She credits her parents for instilling a strong sense of providing voluntary service where one can, and her family who likes to joke, "Where is she off to now?" At her home in Chester, Karen volunteers with St. Augustine's Church Guild in various roles, such as fundraising, Christmas Families Program, and on the maintenance committee. Karen has been an active member of the Bridgewater Red Cross Personal Disaster Team since 2011, where she assists with families in the first 72 hours following a disaster. She serves as a member at large of the Chandler's Cove Condominium Board for the third year, as well as several ad hoc working committees. She's been a member of the Chester Basin New Ross Chester Lions Club since 2019, where she enjoys serving as the club secretary. She is involved in the monthly activities of the club, as well as selling apples in September and the Christmas trees in December. We're all familiar with those?
Oh,
Karen recently volunteered her time to help establish a comfort center at the Chester Basin Fire Department. She will be involved in responding when the center opens in times of need. She enjoys teaching in many capacities, including teaching local Syrian families. Karen also provides teaching assistance to grade 4 students at the Chester District Elementary School and has done this for the last 5 years. Karen currently works with new immigrants to Nova Scotia who are deaf or who have limited to no English skills. Karen teaches them both English and sign language. Karen also has taken part in handling Red Cross phones during national emergencies, such as the most recent hurricanes and the Fort McMurray wildfires. And this has led her to being asked to join the Lunenburg Disaster Planning Committee. It's funny how a volunteer for Lunenburg leads to another request. Karen also volunteers internationally. She is a frequent traveler to Central and South America. Her purpose is to represent Team Canada Healing Hands. For this NGO, Karen serves on the board of directors as well as the director of communications. When not involved in policy meetings, she's been traveling yearly to Haiti, Belize, Peru, and Guatemala.
Panama in 2 weeks.
Oh, in Panama in 2
We're
weeks.
adding Panama.
Her main task is to prepare curriculum to teach the teachers. This program is complicated. She not only needs to prepare the curriculum in Spanish, but also needs to learn the Indigenous Sign Language. Great challenge.
Yeah.
Karen is a passionate educator and nonstop volunteer. She finds it extremely rewarding to meet people in a variety of settings with multiple viewpoints and abilities. Her volunteer work in developing countries and at home allows her the opportunity to help individuals to better communicate with others. In the end, she knows she is making a lasting impression, and everything she does proves that one person can make a difference. So thank you very much. So our next volunteer is David Smell, and David was nominated by the Chester Playhouse. And I believe Andrew Chandler is here today. He's going to be telling us a little bit about David's background.
Dear friends, the Chester Playhouse has an incredible team of dedicated volunteers without whom we could not possibly do what we do. After the past 2 years, that has somehow, their contributions have been even more invaluable. It's my great pleasure to recognize David Semmel's dedication to our volunteer team. David has been a volunteer with the Chester Playhouse for more than 10 years. During this time, he's been involved with our front of house production team. The primary roles of a volunteer, which David has assisted in at the Chester Playhouse and with our Playhouse Without Walls, include ticket taker and greeter, usher, bartender, COVID-19 checker, proof of vaccination checker. That's not a history of the past 2 years. David has also played an important role helping out at our special events and fundraisers year-round, specifically our Family Fun Day events, youth activities, Gallapalooza, and the Playhouse Party. David is consistently the first volunteer to sign up for our events, eager to help, the last to leave, and never complains. He's a fine example of a dedicated, reliable, personable volunteer, and is a wonderful ambassador for the arts and the Chester Playhouse. He's dependable and willing and keen to do whatever is required to ensure a positive experience for our patrons attending our Playhouse events and functions. David has stepped up to help, going above and beyond to assist our mobile Playhouse presents events in and for the community. We are so thankful to have him on our team.
So our next volunteer is Bruce Sinnis, and Bruce is not able to be here today, but I believe that, is it Mary, are you coming up to accept this? Okay, you want to come up, Mary's gonna accept the award on his behalf. So as Mary's coming up, I'll give a little bit of background on Bruce. So Bruce is married to Ann, has 3 sons and 2 grandchildren. He is well respected at Anon and is an excellent neighbor. Bruce has been an important long-time volunteer at Anon Baptist Church in Chester Basin in various capacities. Bruce is a teller for Sunday services, an assistant treasurer, a very important member of the audiovisual team, putting together a volunteer roster for live streaming of services at Anon. Prior to COVID, Anon presented a community fun day for the enjoyment of all who choose to attend as well, and it was well received. Bruce's hard work and effort resulted in great attendance, in fact, overwhelming. Bruce is active in the Building and Grounds Committee, volunteers for fellowship gatherings and related events at the church. He has completed unpaid tasks for seniors as requested. As a member of the Lakeview Cemetery Committee, he is presently preparing a policy for cemetery operations. Any event or responsibility for which Bruce volunteers sees him arriving always early for some to make sure all is in order. He is always willing to, he is always a willing supporter of fundraisers for ALS, breast cancer, and church-related activities held at campus. Bruce completes much needed repairs of the church as they are documented and within his expertise. He is a very competent carpenter. He has a background in financial planning that is certainly an asset for the finances at Anon.
Oh, yeah, no question.
Yes, he is. Yes, so he has a few words that he would like to say to everyone. And I'm nervous. Can you believe it?
No.
Yeah. This is Bruce's words, members of council, and members of the audience. At first, I was stunned and of course speechless that I might be considered for an award. I thought, why me? I answered a calling to help and pitched in, just like everyone else, and thought nothing of it, and that's Bruce. Little did I know what I felt was of small value to me actually meant a great deal to so many. I am humble and honored by your show of appreciation. Thank you all, and God bless his words. Well, you know, I don't really know.
Well, he won't be back, that's right.
When we will do this at church, but it will be presented at church at a formal service. That's my understanding. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all.
So the last volunteer award that we're giving out this morning is actually a family award. And we have Angela, Rob, and Hunter McNamara. And they weren't able to be here this morning, but we do have Laura Broom here, and Laura is part of the New Ross Crisp Rollers, who were the nominators for this trip. So the New Ross Wrist Rollers, and for those, do you guys know what wrist rollers are? They're an arm wrestler. So the New Ross Wrist Rollers Arm Wrestling Club in New Ross would like to nominate the McNamara family. There would not be a club in New Ross without the many efforts of these three who have dedicated to helping set up and run practices, establish our club with the Nova Scotia Arm Wrestling Association. They travel down from their home in Timberley every second Sunday to run our practices, bringing and setting up their own tables, training and coaching us. They do this time and time again, donating their time, costs, and expertise just to see our club grow and prosper. They have provided support above and beyond to every member of the club and have championed on our behalf to raise awareness of our club and promote it through social media and advertising. They have financially supported our members' efforts at tournaments and have always gone above and beyond to support the growth of our club. They do so always with a positive and encouraging spirit. Angela and Rob have immense knowledge of the sport and have encouraged the youth in our community and continue to do so. Hunter is always ready to help anyone in strength to strengthen their skills. Also, at our local fair, year after year, they volunteer their time to help set up, run the local tournament that has become a community-wide draw every single year. These three have been such an inspiration to us and the best cheering squad ever. So that concludes the volunteer presentation. I think just to reiterate what Alan mentioned at the beginning, that the theme this year is we have up on the screen, volunteering leads us together. So I think those were all pretty fantastic examples of volunteers in our local community. And these volunteers really do help to strengthen the community, and all their efforts together definitely helps to create a better community. So thank you all for coming.
Crazy enough, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the
Guys, I haven't heard back from Hammond or
I know it's about 10 months.